Trains, a vital part of American industry. They move goods back and forth across America all the time. But when they fall off the tracks and have accidents, they are very destructive. Let's talk about 3 accidents that happened in the Maysville, Kentucky area so long ago. During the 1970s, 80s, and 90s, moving coal in northern Kentucky has become a profitable business. In order to compete with the river barge companies, TTI, Transcontinental Terminal Inc., bought the old Louisville-Nashville railroad line from Paris, Kentucky to Maysville. Their plan was to move eastern Kentucky coal to barges and sell to the coal-firing power plants all along the Ohio River. While TTI is moving coal among a 100-plus-year-old track, here are several boo-boos that we encountered with the rail line. Starting out with this one, which was behind the Brandon home on Strodes Run. 15 cars derailed in their backyard, leaving a huge mess. Train engineer Gilbert Robinson surveys the damage after his 90-car train derailed Wednesday afternoon along Strodes Run Road in Mason County. 15 cars came to rest in the backyard of Jimmy and Joyce Brandon, demolishing the back porch. There were no injuries. Robinson, who had been an engineer with TTI since 1986, said it was his 3rd derailment. While the TTI train was northbound and just before it reached this bridge near Lewisburg, Kentucky, 5 engines and 8 cars loaded to the brim with coal jumped the tracks, twisting the metal rail like spaghetti and turning the railroad ties into splinters. They came to rest behind a wall of dirt plowed up by the engines that finally stopped perpendicular to the tracks, side by side like dominoes that had been given the nudge that sent them falling. There were 90 cars on the train, weighing in at 90 tons apiece when they're fully loaded with coal. TTI engineers David Hughes and Mike Mills were taken to Meadowview Regional Medical Center for treatment of minor injuries. Engineer James Edmondson was on the engine on the rear of the train and was not injured in the accident. Once I was off work that afternoon, I took my kids out to see the remains of the wreck. They were pretty fascinated seeing those coal cars everywhere. And once it was cleaned up, got a proud picture of them with all the mud on the side of the original engine. Number 2, wrecked. At Maysville yesterday afternoon, 4 cars ditched and demolished. 200 passengers escape injury. Broken switch rod cause of accident. A miracle that scores were not killed. The train, consisting of 7 cars, left the Maysville depot at 1:42. Just after passing the railroad bridge over Limestone Creek, where the tracks connect to the L&N, the accident occurred. The engine express and the mail coach passed safely over the switch, the train running at 25 miles an hour, when it supposedly the switch rod broke, which threw the 3rd coach, the combination car, off the track, carrying 3 other cars with it and scooting up the L&N connecting track, butting the mail car off the track and swinging it north and south across a 25-foot chasm between the fields, which took express car with it, careening the latter over the south embankment, 4 coaches in all being ditched, derailed and wrecked, and turning them into a zigzag fashion like rail fence. It required all afternoon and last night to clear up the wreckage and straighten up the track, and this morning all wrecked cars were on the siding out of the way. When TTI closed down for business, I don't know, 15 years ago, something like that, CSX came along and disconnected the old L&N or the TTI tracks from the main line of the CSX east-west route through northern Kentucky, formerly known as the C&O Railroad. wrecked. Observation coach attached to CNO flyer thrown over high embankment at Lawrence Creek. One lady passenger fatally injured, and 20 others received serious wounds that may result in the death of some of the victims. The story goes on to say, yesterday afternoon, shortly before 2 o'clock, the city was thrown into the wildest excitement by a report, which is rapidly spreading by telephone and messenger, that CNO's fine eastbound fast flyer, due here at 1:35, had gone through the trestle at Lawrence Creek, about 6 miles below town, and was completely wrecked, many of the passengers killed and wounded. A call was put out for every physician in the city to hasten to the depot where the engine had been hauling number 2 was waiting to carry the first doctors to arrive on the scene. A little later, another engine with caboose attached followed with other physicians down to the site. Happily, the earlier rumors were greatly exaggerated, but that an awful accident had really befallen the ill-fated train was soon confirmed. Upon arrival, no time was lost by the physicians and many others willing to lend hands in caring for the injured. The injured were brought to the St. Charles Hotel, where they were attended by Maysville physicians. Judge Halsey's wife is the first passenger that has ever been killed on this division of the Chesapeake and Ohio. Mrs. Halsey was terribly cut by broken glass. A piece of plate glass as large as $1 was taken from her head, while her body was peppered with glass. Roughly a quarter of a mile east of where I'm standing, that direction, is the Lawrence Creek disaster site. So I thought I would take you and me over there today, and let's see what the place looks like compared to what it looked like back then. And also, I thought would be kind of fun, although I don't really do much metal detecting anymore. I brought one with me today, as I would like to check the bank over there to see if we can find some parts left of the train car where it turned over the bank. This ought to be really interesting. Well, we made it to the site. The story says that once the car crossed the Lawrence Creek Bridge, jumped the tracks, and tumbled over a very steep bank 1.5 times. That, my friends, is a very steep bank. So what I like to do for a little while is I brought a trusty detector with me, and I'm going to go search along that bank and see if I can find anything related to that train car. That ought to be real cool if I can find something neat. Oh my goodness. Ooh, that bank's straight down. Wonder if I can find anything besides junk down here today. Oh, can't grab that bush. That one's a sticker bush. Ooh, I see a lot of these metal ties here everywhere. So those will probably be picked up by the detectors a lot. Don't want those. Now remember, this wreck happened 17 years ago, something like that. So there may not be anything left down here, or it's buried too deep, or there's junk on top of it. But you can't find anything if you don't try. Now right here is the site where the car rolled over the bank. So since I can't detect that at the moment, it's all underwater, let's just try this bank and see if there's anything along it. There's a lot of modern trash down here. That's a lot of it right there. A railroad spike. I guess you find railroad spikes around railroad tracks. It sure was a tragedy here. One life was lost. About a dozen more were hurt pretty bad. There's another overload target. Let's see what this one is. Overload means that when you hear that dinner bell type sound, it's usually a huge target. Boy, it's really getting loud there. Oh, it's so big a target I can't even move it. At least show you what it is. I don't know. I can't move that thing at all. Could it be part of the car? Big target. Oh. No, I can't even move that thing, but that's what it is. It's got little holes in it, like a vent or something. Put in the comments below what you think this thing is. If it's part of the train car or not. Let's see if I can move this rock and get a better picture of it. What that thing is. It's stuck in the ground and I can't get it out. What if it's part of the car? Let you all tell me in the comments below. I'm going to have to leave that because I can't get it out. Let me know what you think. Is that part of the car that you just left there or something else? Another overload signal. What this thing is. Any ideas? I wonder if it's part of the stovepipe on the top of the train car. Huh. That thing's pretty cool, whatever it was. Maybe the stovepipe on top of it. It turned over one time about right here. Maybe it knocked the top of it off. Who knows? There's another overload signal. Big piece of junk of some type. Oh, it's underneath this rock, too. Ooh. Oh, it's not under this rock. It's right beside this rock. Any ideas what that thing is? I wonder if it's part of that car. That piece is really bent on both ends. Big time. That's cool. That's a cool find there. Wow. Let's climb back up the hill here. I noticed this thing here. I don't know what that is. That might be part of that car too. That thing is bent. Also big time. I don't know what that goes to. Maybe one of you guys will know. Aside from a few spikes, which you guarantee to find pretty much around any railroad, I found these 3 items a while ago. I don't know if that's a stovepipe top, maybe on top of the car, because about where it turned over, this thing would have been on the top. It would have been knocked clean off. It don't look like it's bent or anything. And this rascal was found over the bank too. It doesn't look like part of a railroad track or anything, but it's really bent on that end and on this lower end. So I'm betting it's part of the car that was turned over on this big steep bank. And just before I quit, I found this flat thing. I have no idea. Maybe some of you train buffs can tell me what that goes to, but this is bent on this end pretty bad. And it looks like maybe a bolt probably had a shock on this end or something. I don't know. But this thing is pretty mangled too. Well, there you have it, my friends. 3 different train wrecks spanning 100 years in the Maysville, Kentucky area. Thanks for watching. I'm working on more interesting historical videos in the Maysville area, so hang around. Remember, Jesus does love you. And we'll catch you on the next adventure on Maysville, Kentucky Simple Living.